Right, and we are rolling. Good day, everyone. Welcome back. And today I'm gonna make a special video. This is going to be a little bit different, but I want to react to the Finnish dietary guidelines because, of course, I'm from Finland and we have a wonderful government that every year updates the recommendations for what we should be eating because, as you know, every year our biology changes, new research is coming out that we are definitely taking a look at, and we need to update our opinions every year, and it's very critical to do that. So yeah, obviously not, but yeah, I want to go through this article right here, which summarizes all the guidelines pretty well. This is in English, so you will be able to understand, and I would say that most countries would agree on that this is the way to go. This is how we should be eating. So if you live in another country, you know, this will most probably be very similar to your guidelines as well. So let's take a look at the new research. So here is Finland's new dietary guidelines. Less meat and booze and more vegetables and berries. Ooh, what a start. That sounds pretty good. And am I an expert on this? Like, you might be thinking, like, Felix, are you even an expert? Why should you even listen to me? And the fact is that I'm not, and that's my biggest advantage actually, because usually if you're an expert, you have some sort of education, you're a doctor, you're a nutritionist, you have most likely been brainwashed to like believe everything that comes out of your educational system. And personally, I have no nutritional background other than I've been very open-minded. I've done a lot of research on my own, and I'm honestly open-minded to everything. I'm open-minded to being wrong as well, so please drop a comment down below if you disagree or you agree with anything. I'm very happy to change my mind on anything I will talk about in this video. But let's go through it. So first, because this year it's quite interesting. Like, we have a few big changes and a little stuff that I actually also agree with. But first of all, we have, based on the authorities' new guidelines, people in Finland should ideally consume around 500 to 800 grams of vegetable, fruits, and berries per day. So first of all, if you don't live in Finland, you should not follow this. If you live in Sweden, don't follow this advice. But yeah, like, to be serious, vegetables, fruits, and berries, like, that's quite a range. Like, you find a lot of different vegetables, fruits, and berries of different quality. So that's kind of vague, you know, to put that sort of guideline. But it has increased like around 60% from the earlier guideline, which was that 500 grams a day, that should be the goal. So if you now should eat up to 800 grams, that's like a 60% increase. So there's definitely some good stuff in all this if that's the case. And yeah, then we have some commentary and stuff. But this is the big one. Like, a lot of people are upset. I'm not sure if upset, but some people have woken up to the fact that these recommendations are kind of ridiculous. And some people think that this is absolutely fantastic. But the new guideline, and which is maybe most relevant, is that the maximum amount of meat is 350 grams of red meat. And this is beef, pork, and lamb per week. So 350 grams of meat per week. Earlier, this was 500 grams. So I'm sure that they have some good studies, you know, pointing towards that like lowering your meat consumption would be good, and they came up with this exact number. Like, I'm sure that they really meticulously went through some good studies to come to this conclusion. But yeah, 350 grams of red meat per week. That is what you should do for health, apparently. And yeah, that's not very much. That's like around, yeah, maybe half of what I usually have for lunch. But yeah, that's basically the guidelines, and of course, I'm not going to go through all the stuff in this video about why this is wrong or why it's how it actually should be. But I think that's quite interesting. 350 grams per week. All right, but moving on, there are actually a few positive things in here as well, and I will soon go through because, quite interestingly, here are some comments as well, and I will show you a few graphs that I've made, which might paint another picture of all of this. But drink as little alcohol as possible. This is actually fantastic. Like, I mean, this is quite obvious. I think most people would agree on the fact that alcohol is not good for you. Personally, I don't drink it because I don't like it. It's really bad for you short term and long term, and I don't think that I don't see the point of it. You know, I don't enjoy it very much, and you know, you're really like screwed over the next day if you like drink enough. So I mean that's quite obvious, but that's actually a thing that I agree with in this. And then we have cut down on caffeine, and this is the first time when they have actually come out with these sort of recommendations where you should cut down on caffeine. And this is actually quite good because I think many people, especially in today's world, we're sleep deprived, we're stressed, we have a lot of pressures, a lot of things to do. It's quite easy to maybe skip on some sleep and instead take some more caffeine, and I think that's a big mistake. Personally, I've done it myself. I've been a caffeine junkie for many years, and recently I took 2 months off caffeine, you know, after starting Carnivore, because I looked at all the facts about caffeine not being very good for you, and I definitely, although I agree 100%, like coffee and caffeine, I don't see that as some sort of health food. That is not, you shouldn't cope with your addiction and say that, oh, but coffee is good for you, look at these studies. Like, I wouldn't do that. But personally, I take caffeine because it really helps me short term, and I haven't noticed very long term effects. Like before, I had some bad sleep and coffee. I had some mostly like bad sleep, and cutting down on caffeine and not drinking it at all actually helped. But now when I've reintroduced coffee, I don't seem to have any like long-term negative effects. I still have very stable energy levels throughout the day. I sleep fine. Like lately, I've been sleeping very good, which was quite different from what I first did at Carnivore. But I think it's quite good. Like this is something I definitely can agree with. I think like energy drinks overall, they are not very good. Like you should focus on the fundamentals, like getting a good night of sleep, for example. You should focus more on that instead of, you know, taking lots of caffeine, and especially energy drinks, artificial sweeteners. They're of course very problematic. But yeah, these were like the biggest changes here in the new health recommendations. And let's have a look at the comments, because believe it or not, I think most of you watching this, like you kind of know that all of this is a bunch of BS, you know, and you have kind of woken up to the fact that your government maybe doesn't have like your interest at heart. You know, it might be that your government who basically taxes you and pays for all politicians, career politicians, and etc., might not really be the best institution to take advice from. You know, like I think most people have kind of realized that, especially after 2020, not going into that direction now. But most people, I would say most people, they still believe that what the government says, especially when it comes to health guidelines, that is the truth. That's just correct. You should do that because that's the best thing you can do for your health. Like most people will actually believe this. And I've had quite a few very interesting conversations in the last weeks talking about especially these guidelines with neighbors, with elderly people, with just random people that I've seen and somehow started chatting with. And many people, like they will, you know, they will not think anything from themselves. They will be 100% on the side of these guidelines and say that these are the facts. Like they can't even imagine that the things that the government is recommending is somehow not accurate. Like they can't even fathom that idea. So let's take a look here. Here we have, I think this is about cartel players. Yeah, these are, but the prices. Like I saw a few very very interesting comments. I can, yeah, I think that this person is arguing against these. Clearly not motivated by these recommendations. Clearly motivated by the green agenda and far from reality. Yeah, I think this is quite accurate. A lot of this has to do with the green agenda, and like the funny thing is that, you know, people are so biased when it comes to the green agenda stuff. They really haven't looked through like biology and how regenerative farming actually works, and they're so biased towards this one direction that it's hard for them even to think like critically or like think open-mindedly. It's very hard for them because they don't think about any of the negative side effects of this green agenda. They don't think anything about that. Very close-minded people. And then we have a comment about simple research finds quite a number of bodybuilders who are vegan. Yo, please show me the research. Like, show me the research on this. You know, like I don't know any single bodybuilder who's vegan, and the only one I've seen, they're taking a bunch of steroids. Like they're basically taking a bunch of steroids and supplementing with nutrition from the animal kingdom. For example, creatine or B vitamins or other nutrients as well. But this is just false. Like me personally as well, you know, wanting to put on muscle, there is no way in hell I would ever go on a vegan diet. Like that doesn't go well with bodybuilding. Like if you want to build muscle, you should not be on a vegan diet, or if you want to be healthy overall. You know, that is just it's a big misconception. And the only vegan bodybuilders, if you see one, they're on steroids. They're on a bunch of steroids. That I can 100% guarantee. Like no questions even about it. All right, what we have here? You mean studies made by Klaus? Nestle introduced their own vegetable fat produced in the U.S. decades ago. Immediately emerged brainwashing people how bad animal fats were. Yeah, this is exactly right. So usually, I think the trend is that companies come out with profitable products, or the government comes out with something that they want to implement into society. So usually it has to do with cost savings or something that can make either politicians or companies really rich. They can make something that can make them a lot of money. And then after they've found this product or this idea or whatever, they come up with guidelines. They come up with recommendations to follow that really align with their own interests and with their own pockets. You can eat whatever you want. I'm going to eat whatever I want. We are living in a free country. Why are we not? Yeah, exactly. We're living in a free country. Although the West, you know, it's getting less and less free, in my opinion, you know. Especially some countries are really like it's pretty worrying, like what is happening. But yeah, we are living in a free country. That's true. Many farmers in countries we are import. Even physical, there are plenty of veggie alternatives such as chickpeas, lentils, peas, and beans. Not to mention fish, dairy, and eggs. Yes, fish, dairy, and eggs. I definitely agree with fish, dairy, and eggs. Definitely, like the proteins from the animal kingdom, they are superior in every single way. But chickpeas, lentils, peas, and beans, like I think, like the only thing that comes to mind when I hear about these is that you will have lots of digestive issues and bloating, and yeah, you will be a fart machine after eating that. That's the only thing I'm thinking about. High amounts of grain and peas causes bloating, inflammation. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I was thinking about. Can I like this? Yeah, I can even like the comment. In Finland, for the all right, yeah, but I think like the comment were pretty mixed there, and yeah, I actually made a few graphs. All right, so the consensus, you know, according to the guidelines, are basically that vegetables are great for you. You should eat a high carb diet. You should Avoid saturated fat. You should avoid meat as much as possible. Red meat is absolutely terrible for you. This is basically consensus. And I made this graph just to try to illustrate my point of how that doesn't make any sense. And of course, now some of you might say, "Oh, Felix, it's just correlation here. Like you can't really base anything on these graphs." And yeah, that's true. But I think that you still find some value in just looking at the correlation of stuff, because if the correlation is just truly off, like something is inversely correlated, for example, I think that it's a lot easier to actually dismiss a theory if that's the case. So here, for example, and I will link all these in the description as well. So red meat we have down here. So red meat, like since the 70s, since the like food guidelines and this whole low fat agenda came out, we humans have overall been reducing red meat intake pretty obviously. I think it's around 30%. So we're eating basically 70% of what we used to eat before, and so that should be an indicator. If red meat was the villain, this should indicate that we are more healthy now than we were before. Because red meat, if that's the evil, like by reducing red meat by 30%, we should be more healthy today. Then we see that we have seed oils right here. Seed oils have just increased massively. I think that some numbers are even like higher. This is to like 2020. I think, but seed oils they have drastically increased. That is one thing for sure. And on the other hand, like animal fats, they have decreased massively. Then we have grain consumption and carbohydrates. They have also increased like a bit. And I think vegetables in particular, they have increased around 30% as well. So by all of these trends, I will show you another picture as well that I made. Of all of these trends, red meat consumption is going down. We have grains, we have carbohydrates, seed oils, they are all going up. So all the healthy things are basically going up. We are consuming more and more of them. And then the unhealthy things we are consuming less and less of. Why then? I ask you, why then is our health overall at a all-time low? Like, why are humans so unhealthy today? Why are heart disease? Why is cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, all of these negative health consequences, why are they on a all-time high, and the trend is just going upwards by every year? Why is this the case? I'm just thinking logically here for a moment, because here I made a quick graph of we have Alzheimer's and cancer. I couldn't find like good data on heart disease when I quickly made these. But basically, heart disease is also just upwards. I think this is something we can all like agree on. So red meat consumption is going down year by year, at least so far, and all these negative health consequences, they're just going up and up. Like, how is it possible? I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking critically here, and yeah, there are also other factors. But in the 70s, 80s, like most people were smoking back then. And personally, I'm of the opinion I would rather smoke. Like, I've never smoked in my life, but I would rather smoke than eat seed oils. I think seed oils and sugar, those are the biggest factors in all this. Like, I would rather smoke than eat seed oils, and eat the modern, like, Western lifestyle. Like, I would rather do that, because I was eating a clean version of the Western diet. Like, I was eating lots of grains, vegetables, oats every day, and I felt absolutely terrible. I felt terrible, following basically exactly the guidelines, low-fat diet. I felt terrible, so I don't even want to know how I would feel if I would actually eat processed foods. I would eat seed oils every single day, because those things, they're bad for you. They're really bad for you. So, alright, but that was quite a rant. Please comment down below if you disagree or you agree with anything. Comment if you wanna see me react to anything else. I think it's quite funny to read comments like this, read guidelines like recommendations like this. It's quite ridiculous. But the sad truth is that most people, they actually believe in this. They actually believe in this. Like, it's 2024 and people believe what the government is telling them to do. That is unbelievable. But thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all the support, and I appreciate all the haters as well. Eat meat, take care, and have a wonderful rest of your day.